Hello there, you are. I'm going to talk a little bit today about Lagrima, but I'm going to talk about it in the context of a guitar lesson to teach you through a piece some important techniques. Lagrima, of course, is a piece written by Tarrega, means tears. That type of piece is wonderful in its laying out of where the melody is going to sing the most up on the E string there. But I want to talk about what most people do on that piece playing it and what a master would do. First of all, we want to try to respect the score as much as possible. That's not always true. This piece was written for the guitar and therefore has, shall we say, a greater weight to it because it was written specifically for that instrument by a master. In Lagrima, when it first, the first measure, you'll see that there is an E on the D string and a G sharp on the high E string. Well, what most players will do, they will hold those two fingers and slide them up as it goes. You're going to see it in an illustration. And that is wrong. And why is it wrong? First of all, because there are eighth notes there. It's not a quarter note holding with the first finger on the D string, the E note, and holding a eighth note on the high E string, G sharp. That's not what's written. What's written is that the minute you play the next note, you're going to take your finger off of the first note. Now, why is that? Why am I saying it? Just because it's written that way? Maybe a better way to do it. Actually, it's not that reason. Number one, technically, you're going to not build tension by holding those two notes, the dyads, the double stops, as other string players would call it. And so you're going to relieve the tension that would be in the hand that many people channel that energy to the whole hand rather than the individual fingers because they don't know how to channel the energy to individual fingers. But I'm going to show you why it is best to lift that finger up, because it's going to be true to the score, that first finger on the D string and playing the E note. And you'll see when you see these passages going by, you'll hardly see my finger move. And why is it that you can say, I don't even think he's lifting his finger up? And the reason why you think that is because it is so little bit of a movement that it's hard to see. It's even hard to see when I'm playing it and looking at my own hand when I'm sitting there. So that is going to relieve tension. That's our object here. It's going to relieve tension in the left hand. It's also going to be true to the score. And you're also going to learn something about, by doing that, learning something about where you're placing your fingers beforehand. Before you even get to the next note, you're preparing to put that finger hovering above whatever string it's playing and the fret that it's playing. You're actually technically playing in between the frets of the metal bars. So that is a small lesson there on Lagrima. Now, why do I want to use that piece as an example? Because you can make that piece sing by doing what I'm saying, or you can make it just be kind of flat. And we don't want that. We're trying our best to make the best sounds we can on the guitar. Now, the other thing I want to say about this, because it shows the complexity of what it means to be a master. The guitar is notorious for not being able to sustain a note. That's why all these electronics came into being with the electric guitar. So, one of the reasons. Some of it was a mistake. But if I were thinking in another mode, I would say no, leave the finger on. Why? Because that note is ringing through and is going to give support to it. But under these conditions, knowing that it's written for the guitar, knowing this piece was written by a master, And for the aforementioned reasons, I would say lift the first finger. If it's the second finger going to the second part, lift the second finger. And that is going to give you a more smooth glide up the fretboard.